Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to Biggish Show for today. It's another time out on Biggish Show, and today we have a very interesting guest in the house, and I want to be welcome. Let me quickly tag what we have for today. So I want to welcome you again to Biggish Show for today. My name is Iyke Okoro. Friends call me Iyke. You can call me Iyke too. I want to welcome you. You are right early. I am OJ Nebe. OJ! Hello, my guy. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Let's wait for others to join. It's going to be an exciting time today. OJ, I want to wave you. Thank you. Long time, bro. Long time. All right, so I'm so excited about today. Even though the mood of the nation is somehow, we have to find a way to be positive about everything and move on and see how we can make life better. So today we have a guest in the house. We have, as advertised, we have Mary Joseph. She's right here early. Maureen, welcome. Yes. Right. So we have a guest in the house. She's a counselor, a psychotherapist. She's going to be joining us. She's going to be coming online very soon. As tagged, as pinned, you can see Psychotherapist Mary Joseph speaks on mental. So today we talk mental health on Biggish Show. We are trying to be in tune with what is going on in our nation. The whole protest and violence here and there, people getting agitated, and all of that. And so we want to just go right ahead today and discuss a very important issue, which is mental health. And I'm so glad that I got an expert in the house. Yes, hello. Thank you for coming online. I can see you. Can you hear me very well? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Check your audio. Check your audio. Yeah, check your audio. Can you hear me? Yeah, just check your audio. Check it. Take time and check it. I know you can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you very clear. Very clear, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right, so just stable your picture and I can hear you. The audio is good right now. All right,
okay.
You're welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Mary Joseph.
Thank you.
Yes. I just want you to hang in there. Let me just do a little introduction so that people will know who we have in the house today and know what to expect, really. So I have here with me Mary Joseph. She's the owner of Mary J Global Edu Consults, and she's a consulting agency. And she's a psychotherapist. It's a mouthful. I'll ask her what that means when we go on with the show. And she's a counseling psychologist. She handles, their company handles relationship issues, emotional issues, psychological issues. It's quite a lot, And they provide online and offline sessions for people who are interested, and all of that. And she has an Instagram handle, which is at Talk to Counselor Mary, talk_to_counselor_Mary. Welcome again to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I think we'll just go right into it so that we can maximize the time we have. Just give us a little bio about yourself. You're growing up, where you grew up, what's growing up was like for you, and all of that.
Okay. Okay, my name is Mary Joseph, and I'm from Abia State. I was born in Zaria, Kaduna State. And I was born into a family of 4, where I'm the 3rd child and the first girl. And well, I wouldn't call my childhood so humble, but of course we're not of the high class either. I think we're just there. Went to Command Children School for my primary education, and Federal Government Girls College, Basawa Zaria, for my secondary school education. And then my university, my first degree was in Iyke Okoro University of Agriculture. And my second degree, my master's, was at University of Ibadan. Yes.
Yeah.
That's it for now.
That's it for now. Okay, that's it for now means that you are going for more, isn't it? You are going for more educational qualification. I know you sound like somebody who loves education. So tell us about that. You are going for more.
Well, I don't understand what you mean exactly.
So what I mean is that as soon as you talked about the latest degree that you have, you said that's all for now. So I think it's suggestive for the fact that you're still going to go for more academic pursuits. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, hopefully, but also I don't think I'll want to do that in Nigeria. I would like to explore and know what therapy or counseling or psychology is like outside the country, how it is taught, the method, and just get a fresh knowledge, from those who are, a lot better and advanced at it. So yes, I'll definitely go for another degree, but I don't think it will be in Nigeria.
Okay, well said. We've taken notes. Okay, we wish you well, with that dream. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you. So like in my intro, I said psychotherapist. This is a mouthful, really. So you help us here. So who is a psychotherapist?
Well, a psychotherapist is someone that treats mental illnesses using psychological methods. Yes, that's who a psychotherapist is. Okay,
that's interesting. Okay, so so we decided to do this show today. We're trying to, feel in the mood of the nation. It's a very serious time in our history where we have seen wanton killings, where we have seen nationwide. It's a long time that we actually witnessed a protest on this scale. It's nationwide, and that's culminated in violence that was totally unexpected, really, because people felt this was a peaceful protest, and you wouldn't expect people to be, burning houses, setting places ablaze and killing people and all of that. Then even the military that is supposed to take care of people, take care of Nigerians, and all of that, killing people and all of that. What do you think about the mood, what is going on in the nation today? All the protests, the violence and all of that.
Well, Nigeria is a beautiful country, and we are all fighting for peace and advancement of the nation. The protest was a necessary one. I stand with the youth of Nigeria, and the outcome of everything, the killing, the violence, it was just something so terrible. Nobody saw that coming. It was just a peaceful protest. So nobody expected the outcome. So it was a real blow. It was a huge traumatic event for the country. Everyone in the country. I don't think anyone with emotions would have looked at that event and not really felt traumatized about it. It was such a horrible one, really.
So, so that will lead to my next question. In the art that I did for this interview, so I mentioned how the whole protest violence has led to cases of, again, because what really is so worrisome is how, while all that was going on, social media is a good thing, but you discover that it became a platform where people were being fed with all kind of gory pictures and gory videos that for me, even me, there are times I will watch some videos, I'll be able to go halfway. I'll have to shut down my phone, really, because it's so horrible to watch, What do you think all of these situations will throw out in terms of mental illness and psychological problems? What are the kind of things that you think this kind of will throw up in the society?
Okay. Now, I had an influx of clienteles during that period. Okay. Personally, I think that particular event, on that day, that Tuesday it happened, that was like my off day social media. A lot of things, even before that event, a lot of things had been going on. There have been a lot of brutality, videos of the people that died in the past in the hands of the SARS. And because of that, I just decided, I'm going to take today off. So, when the whole thing happened that Tuesday, my relatives, the people I stay with, my family, they told me about it. And yes, I was so tempted to want to go online, but I had to discipline myself. I told myself, no, today is my off social media day. It's supposed to be to protect my mental health. And because of that, I am still going to hold on, until the next day. I told myself it was going to be for 24 hours, and I kept at it. I used other things to engage myself, and I actually stayed off social media throughout Tuesday. So Wednesday, when I went online, and I was hit with the news, pictures, and the first thing that came to my mind was, this is so traumatic. There are lots of people that won't be able to stand the extent of, the trauma that is going to hit to a lot of people. Now, I had a case of a secondary school mate that had to quickly contact me. She was having serious panic attacks. And when she contacted, do you still have your phone with you? She said, yes, I'm online. And I'm still looking at these pictures. I said, you're having a panic attack from these photos, and you're still looking at them. She said she just can't stop. And that's the problem a lot of people had this period. There were too many news. They wanted to be current. They want to know all the, the latest. But the truth is, they forgot that these things were affecting them. They totally forgot. I had to recommend for her husband to seize her phone. So her phone was seized, and she was induced to sleep. So by the time she woke up, I had a session with her. By then she was calm, and then she felt better. What I'm trying to say is this event actually brought a lot of anxiety to people, depression. The scale of depression was very high, and then trauma. A lot of people had insomnia. They experienced sleeplessness, nightmares from these. And I had clients like these that, came with all these reports. And yes, I was able to help them through it. But the major thing, or the first thing I did, was tell them to stay off social media, stay off those pictures, regulate the time, you go in and you go out. If you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to stay on social media for 4 hours or 2 hours, then take maybe like 6 hours to be off social media just to protect your mental health. And then another option is, okay, when you come across those content, those violent content, if possible, you can scroll past and just read the captions. Instead of watching the videos or looking at the photos, you can actually decide to, maybe use your hands and close the place of the picture, and then just read the caption to know what is going on. It saves you the picture that will be implanted in your mind, which can cause nightmares. You know, it saves you those pictures. At least the way it will hit you will be less than when you see those pictures that will register, you know, on your mind. So those were practically the things I experienced during that event.
So I want to ask, I'm curious to ask you. So, you know, these days, social media has become like a go-to thing for people. So I'm wondering, what you mentioned right now, how, in your own experience, how easy is it for people to stay up? You know, because I can see that you're recommending that people should stay up, you know, these contents, you know, so that it won't, you know, they won't, so that they can avoid, you know, what is into their mind. How does that work for people? What's the rate of success that you see in that?
Well, the human mind is naturally inquisitive. We want to know. We want to be at the top of the news, you know. When your friend is saying, "Oh, did you see what Fashola did?" You want to be like, "Oh yes, can you imagine?" You know, you want to follow the trend. You want to. So it's natural for the human mind to be inquisitive. But the question one should ask themselves is it really healthy for you at that point in time? Another question is, can your mental state carry it? You know, can your mental state endure these things you're putting before it? Can it really take it? You have to ask yourself those questions. You know, some people are more feeble than others. Some people are more mentally feeble than others. So because of that, one has to ask themselves, wait, can I really take this? So naturally, no, it's not easy. Even for those who are not feeble, it's still not easy. It takes a lot of self-discipline. A lot of self-discipline to tell yourself that from this time to this time, I'm not going to go through my phone. From this time to this time, okay, let me just go in and check what's going on. And I'm just going to spend maybe 30 minutes there and I'm out, you know. So it takes a lot of self-discipline and a conscious effort to actually make this happen.
Wow. Interesting. So I was curious as we were talking. So we mentioned these cases. We talk about trauma, grief, anxiety, depression, and all that. Just let's speak like, for instance, someone who has panic attacks. What are the kind of experiences that the person, you know, would have? You know, if somebody has a case of panic attacks, let's, you know, give us a picture of the kind of things that we're going through, you know, and all of that.
Okay, so panic attack is from a case of severe anxiety. So you begin to experience either numbness or tingling. You know, you might just grow numb. You might also experience hot sweats or cold sweats. You know, or you just start feeling hot or cold, and it has nothing to do with the weather. These are the early signs now. These are the early signs, you know, when you're having anxiety. These are the signs you begin to experience before it even develops to panic attack proper. Then you begin to also have cases where maybe indigestion. Yeah, you have indigestion for some. Yeah. And then you experience fear, either fear of the unknown or fear of losing control of yourself. Fear. There's fear, there's nervousness, you're just scared. And then for panic attack proper, apart from all these things, you also experience feelings of choking. You begin to feel like you're choking, and then breathlessness. You begin to have difficulty in breathing. At that point, you may actually lose control. For some, they may just begin to start feeling faint, dizzy, lightheaded. You know, they become unstable. Their legs begin to wobble. They can't stand, they can't support themselves anymore. Their hands begin to tremble. They begin to have trembling hands. Yes, they shake, So these are some of the signs you find during panic attacks.
So as you are talking, for me, I'm wondering, some of these things you mentioned share similar symptoms with malaria, typhoid, and all that. So how will you convince someone, for instance? I mean, that's the way it came across to me. So I'm wondering, if I have these things, I might say, I think I have malaria or typhoid. Why don't just take malaria tablets and stay away from these counselors that will not begin to tell me something else? So how would someone really be convinced that, hey, you don't have malaria, you don't have typhoid? See, come around and because you're having panic attacks, it's not malaria symptom. So how do you convince the person or convince someone that, look, this is what you have. It's a higher issue here. It's not ordinary malaria or typhoid and all that. Tell us.
Okay, now remember, I'm sure you're talking about the malaria because of the hot sweats or cold sweats.
Yes, so.
Okay, remember I also mentioned nervousness. I also mentioned fear. I mentioned fear of losing control. I mentioned being scared.
Okay.
When the person is scared. Those are not symptoms of malaria.
Okay.
I
guess so.
And besides, there are something must have triggered it, which of course is not going to be a mosquito bite, of course. So something must have triggered, the anxiety. Like when my friend approached me when she was having a panic attack, the first question I asked her is, have you been online? And she said, yes, I'm still online. And I said, have you been watching all those videos and photos? And she said, yes. That is when she started watching them, she started experiencing the panic attack. And I knew immediately that was her trigger and she needed to get off it. So yes, there's always a trigger that brings about the panic attacks or the anxiety. And of course, it's not going to be a mosquito bite. Okay,
that's good. That's good to know. So again, so somehow I'm wondering, we do know that for some people who are living within the context of poverty, so they have poverty issues, and some of these symptoms they are familiar with, because they don't eat 3 square meals a day. Sometimes they are sick. They have just simple, very ordinary illnesses that they cannot go to hospital to cure because they don't have money to do so. Would you say that the situation that is going on right now would escalate for someone who is living in a situation of poverty, who doesn't really have money to take care of himself or herself? Would you say these situations will aggravate or escalate, those conditions in the person faster than somebody who has money to take care of himself or herself? What would you say?
Well, I don't think our psychological states really, okay, yes, class may play some role, it might play some role, but then you also found out that these people that have been on the streets, they've seen more than those that have not, and the mind has a way of adapting. When you've experienced violence for a long time, let's say a soldier who's killed on battlefronts, killing is no longer a big deal to such a person, or seeing a dead body is no longer a big deal. Likewise, a doctor that I've seen a lot of patients die. The way a doctor reacts to a patient's death is different from someone who hasn't, witnessed that extent of exposure to dead bodies. Now, the same applies to people who have been on the streets. They've seen more. So because they have seen more, somehow their mind has adapted, actually. Unlike rich that are probably always secured, always in high fences, and are always tend to be safe, in quotes, And when they see some of these things, it hits harder. People who have not been exposed to these things, it hits harder. So coming from that context, you might say that the people, of, let's say, the lower class, well, as much as it might affect them, it just depends. I think it depends on individual.
Okay.
It just depends on the individual. It's really not about the class, you know. So we can't really weigh this thing based on class.
Okay.
The rich can have anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and likewise the poor. So it just depends. The rich, once they lose their businesses and they have maybe less than, let's say, 40 million in their accounts, they are going to sleepless nights. It's just 40 million, but there are poor people on the streets that don't even know what they'll eat tomorrow, and they still live happy. They are not depressed. So it all depends on individual situations, really. It depends. It's not just by the social class.
Okay. Okay. So I'm also wondering, you are, you have a practice, as a professional counselor. I'm wondering, for Nigerians, based on your experience, for Nigerians, do they actually patronize, experts like you? I'm talking within the context of we are a religious set of people who oftentimes think once something happens, oh, this is spiritual. Let me go and see my pastor. Let me go and see my priest. Let me go and see Alpha or Imam. That this thing is it's from village, from one corner or the other. So I'm within that context. Do you have people patronize you, who come around to say, look, I guess I'm having a mental issue or mental health issue or psychological issue. That's why I came around. Do that, what's your experience like?
Okay, now Nigeria is coming to realize the importance of psychotherapy. They're beginning to embrace therapists, they're beginning to embrace counselors. But an average Nigerian prefers to pretend they're fine, even when they're not. We don't want to put our problems out there for fear of, how would this person see me? Even when they know you don't know them, some of them just have that reservations. And then for some, it's probably, I don't know, self-criticism. The fear of being judged. Many of them are not aware that therapists are actually unbiased, So a lot of work needs to be done in Nigeria. Yes, people patronize. People are beginning to know. People are beginning to be informed. But most times I've noticed that they always wait until things get bad or things get worse before they run to you. When they've looked right, looked left, there is no way, or they've already fallen into that ditch, that problem, and it's now much more difficult to salvage the situation. That's when they begin to seek help. They've not yet, Nigerians have not yet come to understand that you don't have to wait until it really gets that bad. Once you know there's going to be an issue ahead of you, you know that, if I follow this path, I might hit a rock. It's easier to start getting counsel or guidance from the early stage. I tell my very close friends, or my very close friends know, that before they enter into any marriage, they have to go for therapy first with their fiancé or their boyfriends. There's a lot to look out for. Some people don't even know what they want until they come for therapy or for that session. And when you're telling them and pointing these things to them, they be like, they've been sleeping all this while. Well, how didn't I see all these things? How come I didn't know all these? And I tell them that's what, counseling, guidance, that's what it does to you. It opens your eyes and mind to a lot of things that you may not know. So Nigerians, well, we are coming up. They're becoming more open to it. But also, I've also noticed there is a higher, will I say, openness to therapy in women than in men. The men still carry the Superman
macho
mindset. Yes, the macho mindset to, oh, why should I talk to somebody else about it? We can handle these things for ourselves. But they are seeing that things are really getting bad, but they have to argue it out. And most times I've had cases of couples therapy where, you know, the husbands don't want to show up or they're not willing. So I've noticed women are more open to therapy than men. From my observation and from my practice, I've had more cases of women than men being open to therapy. But one thing I've also noticed about therapy in Nigeria, other countries actually appreciate the therapists in Nigeria that even Nigerians do not appreciate.
Wow. And this is internet based, and sometimes okay, so the thing is, I'm going to go back and get the therapist back online because the network cut off. Just bear with us. Let me do this. Let me get her back. I send a request right now, so she would connect. Yes.
Okay, back.
Okay, yeah, you're back. Yeah, a little network hiccup, but we can go on now. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so listen to me.
All right, let's go,
Can you hear me
Maddie.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you there.
Okay. So I was saying that the people abroad, you know, outside the country, they appreciate therapy in Nigeria even more than Nigerians. A higher percentage of my clientele are from people abroad, people in Canada and New York especially. And we even have people, or will I say therapists, over there that are willing to work with the therapists in Nigeria. That's the funny part. Because somehow, especially when they know you're good at what you do, it's cheaper for them. So they want to take you up, you know? So I really need to encourage Nigerians to appreciate what they have, really. Because this same thing that makes our doctors to go outside the country, because they are more appreciated outside the country, the doctors. And very soon, maybe therapists too want to do the same. Because they're not being appreciated here in Nigeria.
Wow.
So yeah, we get patronage. Yes, we get patronage, but well,
not as much as
people are getting right into it.
Okay. I think that then again, there's an angle to the whole thing. I'm going to revisit, you know, the spiritual side or the religious side of Nigerians in this case. So I'm thinking, for a lot of people here, okay, maybe maybe you should answer this. You know, how would somebody who's watching right now? So the person is wondering, because a whole lot of times what people easily think is that if there's an issue with somebody misbehaving, having some problems and all that, and the person is behaving funny, people will easily attribute that to spiritual problem, which is why I think they don't come to people like you. So tell us here, tell us, what are the parameters, like a few parameters that somebody will see to say, okay, this thing is a psychological problem, this is a mental problem. Tell us a few things that people can say, okay, if I notice this and this in this person, I can easily tell that this is a psychological or mental problem. Please tell us.
Okay, when you talk about this aspect, I would want to point out cases like psychosis, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorders, multi-personality disorders. Now, these are cases that people who are not very enlightened can attribute to spiritual problems, when someone begins to, I'm trying to describe the symptoms of these illnesses.
Yeah, we need that.
Okay, let me give an example of a case I handled.
Okay.
I had this client, and he was he was diagnosed with multi-personality disorder. And during my first session with him, I was just talking to him, and the next thing he told me is, oh, you're no longer talking to this person. You're now talking to this person. He changed. Instantly, there was a switch. Now, if I didn't know better, I could have said, oh, this person is possessed. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. In fact, a layman would have just maybe started deliverance immediately for that person.
Send to deliverance this thing so that they start deliverance immediately.
Yes. So, but it's not entirely so. He was actually treated and he's fine now.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, he is okay. It was a very serious one. He was violent and so many other things, but he's okay now. He was placed on antipsychotic drugs and he's fine. He's fine today. Now, spiritually, well, even doctors would tell you, we treat, but God heals. I think they have that statement, something like that. Well, in psychotherapy, we also believe in the place of God as one who takes burdens, one who solves all problems. Okay, we believe, it goes beyond. Even at least I believe, I don't know about other.
I was about to, in fact, you have to clarify that, Yes. Yeah.
I believe that we have the Holy Spirit as our greatest counselor. So even us as humans, we are limited, even in all our knowledge. Because at the end of the day, only God, the Creator, knows all things and the solution to all problems. So even myself as a therapist, I still have to seek insight, in the place of prayer, even for my clients, So we can't totally get rid of the place of spirituality in therapy. But at the same time, not all things should be tagged spiritual. There are cases that at least when you're going hand in hand with prayers and therapy, you get a better result, So we shouldn't always tag all things as spiritual. It's not everything you run to your pastor for, There are some pastors that are not equipped with counseling. In fact, I don't know the religious background kind of have this mindset that pastors have all the answers, And I thank God for the kind of church I attend, where we were able to form a counseling unit in the church. And even when you go to the pastor, he will direct you to the counseling unit. Depends on the issue you have.
That's interesting.
That's an enlightened church. Yes. But there are some pastors that want to take it all upon themselves and believe that everything, has to be with pray. This is what it should be. Pray. Oh, yes. Prayer you know, prayer is the key to all things, yes. But there are a lot of things that one would have done differently. There are a lot of things that one approaches one would have taken that would have actually helped a lot of problems to be solved faster if one had just sought therapy, you know. So yes, we can't ignore the place of the spirituality aspect of life, but at the same time, it's important to know when to go to church and when to come to a therapist for counsel.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm going to ask you right now. So what just dropped in my mind is, if you have this, this is the way you practice. So does it mean that, do you have cases where some people came to you, some clients came to you because they felt they had mental issues or psychological issues, and when you did all your sessions with them, you were actually able to know that, look, do you know what? You need a pastor, you need an imam, you need an alpha, you need a deliverance minister to work on you. Have you ever referred people, you know, to pastors or imams and all that for therapy? Please tell us.
Yeah. In my own case, fortunately, I'm also someone that understands spiritual matters deeply. So people who know me closely, they know how deep I can be with spirituality as a Christian.
Okay.
You know, and because of that, it helps me decipher which cases are mentally related and which cases need spiritual approach. That helps me. Now, I'll describe a particular case I had where I had a client. She was having serious depression that was leading to suicidal thoughts. In fact, she was going to attempt suicide. You know, she was already on her way to go get the drug that would, you know, she would take and just end it all. And somehow, by the grace of God, she was able to stumble on my page and she called me. Now, for some reason, unlike me, once it comes to suicidal cases, I treat it as priority. You know, I don't waste time. But for some reasons, I decided to put her on hold. And I just told her, please, I just want you to hold on and don't do anything rash. I made her promise me. She promised and she said, okay. I went back to the place of prayers and the Holy Spirit actually told me it was a demonic attack.
Wow.
That she was going to, I don't know, she had this attack to kill herself so she could go to hell. Something like that. So immediately I knew it was a spiritual issue. I called her back and I asked her if she has been to church, you know, for help or something for her issues. And she told me she has been to 11 churches and she didn't get help from any of them. I mentioned some churches. Have you been to this church? Have you been to this church? Have you been to this church? And she kept saying yes. They all kept asking for money, or they kept asking, you know, that I probably give something in return, but they didn't take her serious. And that was when I felt in my spirit that, okay, if she had tried churches and she didn't get help, maybe God brought her my way for a reason, you know? And I led her through prayers. In fact, I told her, I said, usually I would have treated your case as a psychological one, because I mean, we're dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts here. But in your own case, your case is peculiar. It's not just a psychological issue. It is a spiritual one too. So I explained to her, I said, in my practice, I don't usually do this. I know when to differentiate being spiritual and when to be professional. So I don't, in fact, she was the first person I was using that approach on. And I had to go through some spiritual, exercises with her for her to actually be free. I prayed with her, and instantly, I mean instantly,
Wow.
she actually got herself. Now, in fact, before she couldn't talk because she just kept crying. But after the prayers, after the whole exercise we did, she could actually now explain exactly what happened to her. So when I told her, do you know this was a spiritual attack? She said, actually, after the prayers, she realized it was,
Yeah.
So yes, there are cases that one has to refer, to spiritual rulers, which was initially what I was going to do. But it was a case where she had already tried churches, and I know that sending her back to churches might just make her just go ahead with the suicide. So I had to take it upon myself to, to do it since I could. If I couldn't, I would have looked for someone else. I could do it. That was why I went through with it. If I couldn't, I wouldn't have. Okay? So, yes, there are cases where one has to be sensitive to know when to use spiritual approach and when to use, psychotherapy. And for someone like me, once it's a spiritual issue, I try not to even charge money. I try not to make it about the charges. Like in her own case, I did it for free. So it's important for one to know when to use which. Yes.
Okay, so something you said, you helped the person because you could, you found out you could, and so has there been cases where, so the person has tried churches and then came to you and you started, applying your own sessions and you discovered that you're not making headway, and it got to a point where you are like, look, I'm a psychologist, or what, I can't help you, and churches can't help you. Maybe you should go to, so have there been cases where you are like, your hands are tied, you didn't know what to do further to help the person, even though the person has complained that he or she has gone to churches and no help, or religious houses and got no help, and you felt, well, maybe you should go to your family members to look for how to help you? I mean, have you had cases like that?
Okay. Well, there have been cases where the solution was not immediate.
Okay.
Probably like cases where the person just have to be patient. Maybe time solves the issue. Even when you tell the person, okay, you can use this approach, you can do this, you can try this, it might still take a year or 2 years for the person to actually be free from their problems, or what they are into. There have been cases like that. A case where at that point, there's really nothing you can do. But there's actually a way to still make the person feel better, give the person a sense of direction on at least, okay, if you can't solve the whole problem now, you can at least do something.
Okay.
You can try this to make it, less complicated than it is already. But for the long-term solution, you might just have to be patient with time. I have had cases like that. But a totally helpless situation, I feel there's still something you can do as a therapist.
Wow.
There's still something you can do to help, no matter how little, to make the person feel better, to give the person a sense of direction on how to approach the issue. There's always something you can do.
So I'm wondering, in a case like, because one of the issues here is grief, people who lost family members. I mean, all what has been going on, there are scales, there are levels of losses, really. People lost businesses, because there was vandalism and all of that. But let's talk about those who lost family members here. So we know that kind of loss is quite is heavy. And
Traumatic,
so
yeah.
it's very traumatic. So they go through grief. And what kind of help would you offer to someone who lost someone dear to him or someone dear to her? What kind of help do you offer them? You know.
Okay, now I'm smiling at this question because I had a case like this just yesterday.
Wow.
Just yesterday, I had a case of severe trauma from grief. You know, a lady who had just lost her boyfriend, you know, spoke to him just 2 hours before his death and was just told that, you know, he was dead. So her symptoms were severe, you know, they were severe. She was already beginning to have auditory hallucinations even.
That's serious, so.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
So we had the session and by the time I was done, she was actually laughing.
Wow.
She said she had actually been smiling without knowing that she was even smiling for a long time during the session. This is someone that has not gotten herself for a very long time. Now, I may not be able to describe, you know, my approach is step by step in handling this issue. But oh, yes, we have a way of making even people that are in their darkest moments. Therapy has a way of making you feel better. Of course, it's going to be a gradual healing process. That she laughed that moment doesn't mean she's not going to cry the next minute.
Yeah.
Yes. She has been doing a lot of crying. But I gave her some tasks like, okay, I want you to record the number of times you cried. She said it was awkward. Record the number of times you cried.
Yeah.
And I taught her how to cry even with hope. You know, you're crying, but you're crying to heal. Sorry. You're crying, but you're crying to heal. Okay? You're not crying because you're in despair. You know, you're crying to actually heal. So I gave her a task like, okay, when you cry, you tell yourself, oh, I'm crying, but I know I'm going to be better. I know I'm going to be fine. As I cry these tears, my pains are going with it. I will feel better afterwards. You know, she has to keep talking to herself. She has to cry with hope, not in a hopeless state of, oh, I'm giving up. In fact, I'm tired. I'm done with this world, you know, because she was actually having suicidal thoughts, you know. So I had to teach her that, okay, you will cry, no doubt, you will cry. But when you cry, you have to cry with the aim to heal.
The cry should have purpose. So the cry should have a purpose.
Yes, and yes, crying can actually be therapeutic.
Yes.
If in a proper way. Yes. It's therapeutic. It means she's processing her feelings. You know, she's unlike when you're numb. So it means at least she's feeling something. And that's a good sign. So I told her when the tears come, please cry it. But when you're crying, cry, you know, with hope. Cry that and tell yourself you're going to be better. Cry and tell yourself you will heal. With each tears that drop, you will heal. You'll feel better. And it's actually worked. We're having another session on Monday, and I'll know how she feels by then. But yes, there's a way of making them feel better, no matter how. I had some other approaches apart from, you know, the crying aspect. Of course, there were some other tasks, you know, that was that she was given. Yes, but the most important thing was she left the session smiling and laughing, which was something she recorded she has not done in 1 month since after the death of her boyfriend. Yes, so it's
wow. On that laughing note, we're going to end this interview here. Our time is fast spent. It was good we ended with laughter. That your client, so we laugh out, you know, as we end the program. I want to appreciate you for coming. You know, I really thoroughly appreciate you, Mary Joseph, a good friend, and You're doing a great job. And we've had a session. You know what I told you? You can see what we have. It was a loaded package. It's over 45 minutes. You know, you've been talking. As you can see, you've been talking. And it's
That's
all,
true.
thank you. It's already loaded. So I want to appreciate, just hang on there. Don't go yet. I want to appreciate all those who joined us. Adekunle Impact, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Iyke Okoro, thank you for joining us. Maureen Okere, everyone who joined us on this in this conversation. I believe you enjoyed this episode. You got a lot from it because I mean I got so much education, so much enlightenment and all that. In fact, I know how to now distinguish between malaria and this thing. So, so I know how to tell somebody, no, look, this is not malaria. You better go and see Mary Joseph to take care of you because this one is not typhoid fever. Thank you so much. Before you go, let me just do this for you. Let me tell everyone who is watching. So we've had on the show today Mary Joseph. She runs Mary J Global Edu Consults, and it's a consulting agency, psychotherapist, counseling psychologist. That's what she is. They handle, you need to know this, they handle relationship issues, they handle emotional issues, they handle psychological issues. I mean, they've got you covered. So if it's psychological, if it's relationship matter, emotional issue, they are there for you. Mary Joseph is there for you. They have a number here. I'm going to provide a number. You wouldn't mind if I provide a number on air? Okay.
That's fine.
So they have a number. If you are fast enough, you can take down the number. It's 0803 829 9293. I do that again. 0803 829 9293. And on Instagram, you know, the counselor is on Instagram on @talk_to _counselor_Mary. I'll take that again. talk_to, that's _counselor_Mary. Or let me make it easy for you. Just go on Instagram and type Mary Joseph. This handle will pop up for you. You follow them. We have loads and loads of information. Her page is loaded. This woman is a hardworking woman, I must tell you. Yeah, Mary.
Thank you.
Mary, it's been nice having you. I have to let you go now. So like I'm sure you have other clients who are waiting online to get in touch, you know, with you. Please do take care of them.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thank
right,
you
Mary.
for having me.
Love you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. I'll let you go now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. I thank you. I thank everyone. So I want to quickly do this again because without you, we don't have a session. So I want to thank Iyke Okoro for joining. Hello, sir. Thank you, sir. Adekunle Impact. Yes. Thumbs up to you. Thank you so much for joining. Me alone, 1098. Me alone. But we are together today. Me alone, 1098. Join. Thank you. Maureen Okere, I thank you for joining. For everyone who joined, I mean, who joined the show today, I appreciate all of you immensely. Thank you so much for joining. Like it's been on the screen, it's been psychotherapist Mary Joseph who was here talking on, you know, mental health. I mean, this is something that a lot of Nigerians shy away from. We do not balance it. A lot of times we have mental issues and psychological issues. We just say it is spiritual. But what she's done here today is to help us to balance all these things. There are spiritual issues and there are mental issues so that we know how to rightly know which one is which whenever there's a case and go to the right people for help. It's a wrap on the show today. It's a wrap on the show today. We'll wrap it up. Our time is fast spent. I'm so excited. It's been a loaded package. The illumination was massive. I mean, I've never really had this kind of session with a therapist like this. Like, this is quite illuminating for me. Very heavy. I'm loaded with so much new knowledge, you know, as to what they do and how they do it and why what they do is so important. Thank you, everyone. My name is Ikechukwu Okoro. Friends call me Iyke. You can also call me Iyke. That's good for you too. You can call me Iyke. I want to appreciate you for being on BIGGISH Show today. Please be safe out there. Pray and watch your movement. Be calculative about your movement. And let's keep praying for Nigeria, for peace of the Lord to return to our dear nation, Nigeria. Thank you very much. I have to go now. Bye-bye. See you some other time. Love you.